Hey there, fellow knowledge seekers. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
Today, we're diving deep into the heart of ancient India.
Oh, sounds intense.
It is. We're tackling two philosophical powerhouses, Buddhism and Jainism.
I'm ready.
And trust me, this isn't just another history lesson.
More than memorizing dates.
Exactly. Whether you're a fresh UPSC aspirant gearing up for that ancient history syllabus,
Sounds haunting, I know.
or just someone who loves a good dose of wisdom, this deep dive is for you.
The more the merrier. I love to see people interested in this stuff.
So let's set the scene.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
India in the 6th century BCE.
Got it.
Vedic traditions were being questioned.
A time of change?
The rigid caste system was under fire,
Makes sense.
and people were yearning for new paths to navigate life's
It
complexity.
is a real crossroads.
It's from this backdrop that Buddhism and Jainism emerged.
Like flowers pushing through the cracks.
Love that imagery. Each offering a unique response to the challenges of the time.
Each in their own way.
Now, both religions sprouted from this fertile ground of change,
Right, shared roots.
but their origin stories are surprisingly different.
So that's where they diverge.
Buddhism revolves around one charismatic figure, Siddhartha Gautama, who became the Buddha.
The one and only.
Right. And the story of the prince leaving a life of luxury to seek enlightenment.
A classic.
It's a tale as old as time and still so captivating.
It's about finding what truly matters.
Exactly.
Now, Jainism, on the other hand,
Yeah,
they have a line of 24 Tirthankaras,
I've heard of them.
enlightened beings, kind of like Ford makers, guiding followers across the river of existence.
Deep stuff.
It is, and for your UPSC folks out there, two to really remember are Parsvanatha and Mahavira.
Parsamatha and Mahavira. Got it.
They were key in shaping Jainism's doctrines and different sects.
Okay, so different origins, different leadership structures.
Yeah, I'm seeing how those initial differences could have influenced their evolution.
Me too. And let's get to the core of the matter. Their core teachings.
The good stuff.
Buddhism offers the Four Noble Truths,
Right, a framework for understanding and overcoming suffering.
basically saying suffering exists, it has a cause, it can be overcome, and there's a path to do so.
Straightforward but profound.
Absolutely. And that path is the Eightfold Path.
The path to enlightenment.
And what's fascinating is that it isn't some mystical, otherworldly concept.
Grounded, you mean?
Totally. It's about being mindful in everyday life.
Right speech, right action, right livelihood.
A practical roadmap.
Applicable even today.
Now, Jainism has its guiding principles too.
Oh, yeah.
The three jewels,
Yeah.
right faith, right knowledge, and right conduct,
Okay, following.
leading to liberation, or moksha, from the cycle of birth and death.
The ultimate goal.
And to achieve that, Jainism emphasizes the 5 great vows.
A what?
Truthfulness, nonviolence, non-stealing, non-possession, and celibacy.
Those are some serious vows.
They are, particularly the emphasis on nonviolence.
Ahimsa.
It has profound implications for how Jains live their lives.
I can imagine.
So both religions offer paths to liberation.
Right. Different roads, same destination.
Maybe, but the methods definitely differ.
How so?
The Eightfold Path seems to focus on a middle way,
A balance.
while Jainism's 5 great vows sound more, well,
Rigorous.
exactly, with their focus on renunciation and self-discipline.
Two different approaches, both born from that same era of change.
I can see how both paths would have appealed to different people seeking answers.
Makes sense.
And that's crucial to understanding their impact.
More than just memorizing for an exam, right?
Right. It's about understanding how these philosophies fit into the social and cultural landscape.
You're talking big picture thinking.
Exactly. Imagine writing an essay comparing those paths.
Weaving a tapestry of philosophy.
You'd impress any examiner.
For sure.
Now, for a question that gets to the core of these beliefs,
Okay, hit me.
do we even have a soul?
Ooh, the big question.
Buddhism takes a bold stance with anatta, meaning no self.
Really shaking things up.
Right. It challenged the traditional belief in a permanent soul.
So no Atman.
Nope. Buddhism argues that what we perceive as self is constantly changing,
Always in flux?
a collection of experiences, not a fixed entity.
Wow, that's a mind bender.
It is. Now, Jainism holds firm to the belief in a soul.
They do.
Yep, the jiva.
Okay.
They believe it transmigrates through lifetimes, carrying the weight of karma.
Interesting.
So this difference in belief about the soul
Whether it exists or not.
has huge implications for how they understand karma and rebirth.
Right. If there's no permanent self in Buddhism, what's being reborn?
Exactly. And in Jainism, how does the soul's journey influence their path to liberation?
These are big questions.
They are, and they offer a window into their worldviews and how they interacted with existing beliefs.
Fascinating stuff. So we've got different paths to liberation, contrasting views on the soul.
Two religions born from the same era of change, but
Taking such distinct approaches.
it's incredible, right?
And those distinct approaches, those nuances.
They're what makes studying them so fascinating.
Absolutely. Especially for the UPSC exam.
Yeah, understanding those subtleties is key.
It's not just about the facts.
It's about being able to analyze, compare, draw connections.
The kind of critical thinking that sets you apart.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Let's unpack those contrasting views on the soul a bit more.
Especially since it's a hot topic for the UPSC exam.
Oh, definitely. Buddhism's anatta concept was radical for its time.
Right, the prevailing Indian belief system was all about a permanent soul.
Yeah, man.
And Buddhism comes along and says, nope.
Talk about shaking things up.
Right, it makes you wonder about the debates and discussions it must have sparked.
Oh, absolutely. The concept of anatta had huge implications.
Like what?
Well, if there's no permanent self, what experiences suffering? What's reborn?
Ah, good questions.
Buddhism says it's not a soul that transmigrates.
Okay, so what is it then?
It's a stream of consciousness, a flow of karmic energy.
Continuing from one life to the next.
Exactly.
It's no fixed soul, but karma still matters.
It's a key part of the equation.
How does Jainism see it?
Well, in Jainism, the soul, or jiva, is a real, distinct entity.
Okay, so they do believe in a soul.
They do. It's like a tiny spark trapped in the cycle of birth and death.
And karma clings to it.
Every action, thought, intention, it all creates karma that affects future rebirths.
So the soul is carrying this baggage of karma, trying to get free.
Reach liberation, exactly.
And that's where those 5 great vows come in.
You got it.
To purify the soul, shed that karmic baggage.
Especially through ahimsa, non-violence.
Speaking of ahimsa,
Yeah,
both religions emphasize it, but I bet their approaches are different.
you're right. While ahimsa is fundamental for both, they interpret and apply it differently.
How so?
Jainism takes it to the extreme.
In every aspect of life.
Pretty much. Like all Jains are vegetarians, that's a given.
Right, but it goes further.
Way further. They minimize harm to even the smallest creatures, insects included.
Wow, that's serious dedication.
It is. Some Jains even avoid farming because of the potential harm to insects.
That's a big commitment.
Now, Buddhism advocates nonviolence too, but
It's more moderate.
you could say that. They condemn killing, but they acknowledge life's complexities.
Like some harm might be unavoidable.
Exactly.
It's fascinating how those philosophical ideals clash with reality.
They do. Imagine a Jain king trying to lead an army.
Or engaging in trade and commerce.
How do you reconcile those things with strict non-violence?
Real dilemmas.
For sure. And understanding those practical implications helps us see their journey.
It's more than doctrines, it's about how those ideas played out in the real world.
And that's what makes it fascinating, especially for the UPSC exam.
Right, it's not just about facts, it's about understanding the nuances, the challenges, the compromises.
Absolutely.
Now let's talk about the social landscape of ancient India.
Okay, what about it?
The caste system was a huge force at the time.
It was.
How did Buddhism and Jainism deal with that?
That's a key question, and it's where we see another difference.
Okay, lay it on me.
Buddhism took a radical stance.
Really?
They rejected the caste system outright.
Wow, bold move.
They believed spiritual liberation was for everyone, regardless of birth.
A revolutionary idea.
It was. The Sangha, their monastic order, was open to people from all walks of life.
So no caste barriers.
None. That had a huge impact on Buddhism's appeal.
I can imagine.
People from all social strata could find a path to enlightenment.
What about Jainism?
Their approach was more nuanced.
Okay, tell me more.
They didn't explicitly reject the caste system, but
But what?
they emphasized spiritual development over social status.
So inner transformation was key.
Exactly, and that resonated with many people.
It let them seek liberation within the existing social structure.
Without completely upending the system.
It's like a different strategy for change.
And those subtle differences in their approach probably influenced their appeal.
Right, different strokes for different folks.
And that kind of insight can make your UPSC answers shine.
It's all about analysis, understanding the social dynamics.
Yeah.
Okay, we've covered a lot. Soul, karma, nonviolence, caste system.
2 religions, same era, such different paths.
Amazing how it all played out.
And those choices shaped their impact on history and thought.
Which is a story for another time.
We'll have to save that for our next deep dive.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit.
Sounds good.
Let's talk about art and architecture.
I love this part.
Me too. Buddhism is known for its amazing artistic heritage.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Those Ajanta caves, the Gandhara sculptures.
Incredible stuff.
It wasn't just about creating beautiful things, right?
You're right. Think of it as visual storytelling.
Okay, I like that.
They played a crucial role in spreading those Buddhist teachings.
Making them come alive.
Exactly. Imagine walking into those Ajanta caves.
But yeah, picturing it.
Murals everywhere depicting the life of the Buddha,
Wow.
his past lives, stories of compassion and enlightenment.
Like stepping into a living textbook.
Totally. And those Gandhara sculptures, with their Greek influences, show how Buddhism spread across cultures.
Blending those styles.
And these visuals weren't just for the elite.
Accessible to everyone.
Exactly, which helped spread the teachings even further.
Now, let's not forget royal patronage.
Ah, yes, a key factor.
Emperor Ashoka's conversion to Buddhism was a game changer.
Huge turning point.
His support was so important for Buddhism's growth.
Absolutely. His rock edicts are a testament to that.
Inscribed with Buddhist principles and teachings.
A real treasure trove for anyone studying this era.
They weren't just about promoting Buddhism, though, right?
You're right. They also reflected Ashoka's vision for society.
Guided by those principles of Dhamma.
Exactly. A just and compassionate society.
Now, Jainism didn't have an emperor like Ashoka,
True. Their path was different.
but they still developed a rich artistic tradition.
Oh yeah, their temples with those intricate carvings and sculptures.
Beautiful works of art.
And while Buddhism had Ashoka's backing.
Jainism relied more on merchant communities and local support.
Different strategies, different paths to growth.
So we've explored their origins, core teachings, social impact, and artistic sides.
It's been quite a journey.
But the million-dollar question is,
Yeah, I'm curious too.
why did Buddhism fade from India while Jainism survived?
That's a tough one.
It is. What are your thoughts?
Well, part of it has to do with internal changes.
Within the religions themselves.
Yeah, Buddhism branched into different schools of thought.
Some straying from the original teachings.
Right, whereas Jainism stayed pretty unified.
So that consistency might have helped them.
Possibly.
But we also have to consider external factors, right?
Of course, the arrival of Islam in India shook things up,
And Buddhism had already spread to other parts of Asia.
finding fertile ground elsewhere.
It's like they diversified while Jainism stayed more localized.
An interesting way to look at it.
I try. But the point is, their survival depended on a complex mix of things.
And internal and external forces at play.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah, let's bring it all home.
what's the key takeaway for our UPSC aspirant?
Remember, it's not about memorizing facts.
Right, it's about showing you can think critically.
Analyze different viewpoints, make those connections.
So when you're tackling a question on Buddhism and Jainism,
Go beyond just listing the differences.
to dig deeper, ask those why questions.
Exactly. Why did they emerge when they did? How did their beliefs shape their interactions with society?
Why did one thrive under royal patronage, while the other relied on community?
Those are the questions that will make your answers stand out.
It's about showing you understand the bigger picture.
And remember, this isn't just about the past.
Right. It's about understanding their lasting legacy.
And how they continue to influence India today.
Well said. So for all our fellow knowledge seekers out there,
Whether you're prepping for UPSC or just curious about history,
keep exploring, keep questioning, keep that curiosity alive.
because the journey of learning is as rewarding as the destination.
Absolutely. That's all for this deep dive, folks.